everybody. Welcome to another interview with the speakers and sponsor for All About That Place. If you're watching, please feel free to comment along. We might not be able to see your name, so you might want to do your comment and then just put your name at the end so we know who you are. But please feel free to comment and join in the chat. I don't know whether everyone wants to go around and just quickly do introductions. I'm Natalie from the SOG and from Genealogy Stories. And my colleagues are Ruth and Elsa, who I hope that you've all met before. So maybe if we skip along to Beverly first, if you wanted to say hello and tell us who you are.
Oh, hello, I'm Beverly, and I'm the chairman of FIBIS, which is the Families in British India Society.
Thank you. And Valme?
I'm Valma Young. I am also a trustee of the Families in British India Society, and I handle the website and social media.
Thank you. And Mark?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark, and I'm head of online development at The Genealogist.
Right there. Thank you. So I don't know whether anyone who wants to start first, but we've got Dave joining in the background.
Hey, yeah.
It's all right, you're live, Dave, on stage straight away. Just to throw you in the deep end. Do you want to introduce yourself? We were just saying hi.
Right, yeah, I'm Dave Annell, a professional genealogist, been doing research for clients and for my own interest for more than 40 years. And I know you're all thinking I don't look old enough, but that's very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. But and I'm absolutely been loving the All About That Place.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear.
Fantastic.
Have any of you had any talks in particular that you've enjoyed? That you want to talk about?
I've enjoyed Dave's talk.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a nice, a short, sweet talk on tithe maps. I watched of yours the other day, and it was really nice how you linked it in with the 41 census, because that's a particular bugbear of mine. That when I'm doing talks around the country, people always say, "Oh, I've lost this ancestor in the 41 census, and it's John Smith," and you've got not a lot to go on. There was 10 John Smiths in the village, and you can't pick out the right one. But tithe records can help you locate down to a wording, as you say, and whereabouts in that village. So yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I've loved. I've loved George Hall's talks. I think he's a real star in the making. He really is. I mean, I love his approach to it all. I love how enthusiastic he is about everything. It's so. It's such a lovely. I don't mean a change, because the talks have generally been brilliant, but it's so refreshing to hear that coming from someone as young as George is, and that's obviously very, very talented young man. So
I completely agree. Definitely a rising star going on there. I've really enjoyed his talks. I particularly enjoyed the one on the school, 125 years on day one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to listen to those.
Yeah, he contributed to our sort of youth conference last year, and he was the youngest presenter and by far one of the most accomplished. It was very, very good to see it.
Yeah, I expect his ears are burning. We'll have to tag him in this. George, if you're not listening, we're talking about you. One of our viewers, Hilary, has just popped on to say that she's really keen to for her studies, but they are in different countries, and the Welsh ones aren't on the genealogist yet.
Well, Hilary, bear with us. 2 weeks' time, we'll be launching complete tithe maps for Wales on Map Explorer and the Genealogist. So that was a very well-timed comment.
That's excellent.
I heard it first here.
That is, yes. Well, yes, we're literally preparing that today for a test launch, and yes, all has gone well. So it'll be live on the site in 2 weeks.
Oh wow, that's exciting! So I've got 2 weeks to get to refamiliarise myself with about a quarter of my tree then. The Welsh. Fantastic.
It doesn't have the search functionality of the genealogist, but I believe that the Welsh tithe maps are on the National Library of Wales website as well, aren't they?
That's true. Yes, yeah. It's been a really good effort from the National Library of Wales, their digitisation of their tithe maps. It was it's all for free on the Welsh tithe map. So as you say, the the search functionality that we've built in, we felt it warranted adding to the genealogies as well for the subscribers. So
absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more.
So we talked about what we enjoyed so far. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to over the weekend? I've got the whole day of food and shopping to catch up on, bar 1 or 2 talks that I caught today. So I'm quite looking forward to digging back into food and shopping tomorrow.
After the week I've had, I think I'm about 3 days behind. Really, this morning I was binge watching, and I think I got up to about midway through, perhaps Wednesday or something like that. But I'm a long way behind, so I've got a lot to do over the weekend, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat.
Yes, you can definitely see from the viewing figures that people are being very good and conscientiously starting from day one and working their way through. I mean, I've been naughty. I've missed, and then I caught up on today's, and I've got a couple of days in between to go back on. But I think most people are being right, and I'm doing this in the proper order, and I'm working my way through, and people are doing their workbooks and with it as well. So they're definitely treating this incredibly seriously, and it's really good to see it.
I've been a bit greedy and pick and chose all the best ones to start with, all the ones that I wanted to watch.
Yeah,
I'm particularly keen on maps. So
I was going to say, I'm looking for anything with the word map in it, and that's the top of my list.
So I really enjoyed looking at, actually the LSE talk on Charles Booth's property map. So I thought I knew the property maps quite well, but I didn't know the industrial research and the religious research that he'd also done. So it was really interesting because that inspired me, and I've done some research into those records afterwards, and the amount of information that he recorded is phenomenal. He basically, him and his research team interviewed hundreds, probably thousands of people around London, and you get all these interesting jobs popping up, like children he found that were sweeping a stretch of street so that people could cross the road without treading in the manure left behind by the horses, and just for a penny a time. And you learn all about their lives and things. So it's, these kind of occupations weren't on the census because they were kind of a casual labourer kind of job. But you really do get a big insight through that research.
It makes you realise as well that the census very often recorded the head of the household's occupation and didn't record the rest of the family's occupation, even though they worked.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the All About That Place enthusiasm may have finally worked. I started putting all of the 1891 census entries for Latimer Road in Kensington into a spreadsheet about 3 o'clock this afternoon when I didn't think any other things. But partly because I wanted to go and play with name and place, and I also really fancy playing with the Goldie May tech that we looked at, and I was really struck by how many heads of household on that street were women, with female laundresses mostly. And already I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole that I promised myself I wouldn't do, but it's just too irresistible.
This has been the whole problem, isn't it? You've got, although it's only a 10-minute talk, but then you think, I'll just go down that, have a look at that website, and then I'll go and play with that tech, and you've fallen down the rabbit hole. And then it's the next talk along. So you could easily take whole days on these.
Yeah, especially if you watch them on Facebook, it lures you in. You watch one talk, and then before you know it, the next one's playing, and you think, well, it started now. It's like Netflix binge watching. You just keep going without realizing.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing on the YouTube channel. I mean, it is, I've got the Society of Genealogists channel, and it is that case. I've got it on sort of a play next one, and off it goes.
Yeah, I have set my speed on the YouTube to double time, and then every now and again, as I was mentioning, that's always my top tip, to try and cram everything in. And I've got so used to listening to everything on double time that it means in real life I find him speak quite slowly.
I've done the same. You think they're talking really slow, it's stuck in slow motion, but you just got your ears just really become tuned to fast speed.
So every now and again somebody does come on where I go, I've really got to slow that down, because they actually I speak quite fast, so they're a fast speaker like me. So, if anyone is really fast, you can also slow down the speed on YouTube as well. Just top tip. I think
it's funny how
lots of notes.
It's funny how little things that, well, I suppose it's in life as well, the little things you listen to resonate with you in another way. Because I was watching one yesterday about the house in Ireland, and she mentioned that, and that's where they'd first grown bananas, and it reminded me of my mother-in-law, because she must have been about that age, you know, and she said she remembered when bananas first came here, and she thought they were very strange. She wouldn't eat them, and even today she died, she wouldn't eat them, you know. And it just recalled that memory to me when I was listening to the story about this house and these gardens, you know. And I thought, yes,
definitely.
That was about the time, and there must have just actually people started trying to grow them, and you know.
Yeah, and cultivate. It is funny how your mind wanders off. I saw somebody on Facebook had commented, I can't remember on which talk, but they'd commented that they asked their grandparents about how they used to cook Christmas meals when they were either young adults or whether they remembered how their grandparents used to cook it, and that led to this like flood of memories about different meals that had gone wrong and cooking without electricity. And I just thought, wow, that's brilliant. I'm going to write that down and go and ask my grandparents, who I'm very lucky to still have all of mine. So I've written that down to like make sure I go and ask them that very specific question. I just thought it was brilliant. Little history snippet, which I wouldn't have thought of. That was, you know, completely from all of my place. So,
well, that was a memory I'd forgotten, and it just came back with it, you know.
There's been some great storytellers on here, I have to say, that can distill a little story in 10 minutes. There's been great quirky stories about places or families or the names in there. That's great.
I enjoyed Kirsty Hooper did a talk on the Berkswell murder. And
that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, the title just intrigued me, but the way she told the story of it happening, and you kind of get that extra information through what a day in the life of the poor farm labourer's lad was like. And he just kept on going. Oh, there's no lunch. Well, I'll just keep working through the rain and doing all these extra jobs that the landlord had listed. And was it 2 or 3 days he kept coming back to the farm, working without food, knocking. Oh no, there's still no one there. No. And before he managed to find somebody, and they went off to find a policeman. But you get all this extra information from what their day-to-day lives were like. It's a hard slog back then for a 9-year-old lad as well. Yeah.
I haven't watched that one yet. I've just made a mental note. I watched
in the title that just grabbed me. I thought, I've got to watch that. Really,
Murders and Maps.
I watched Gudrun Lawrence talk on Bill Key in Tyneside today, and her focus was on a pub. But what I really liked, I liked how she had used the pub as a point, as like a reference point, that she'd actually expanded right out away from the pub and then right back into the pub again. I thought that was really clever.
I heard that today. It was very good, and it was just such an obvious thing. We do to get a little bit church centric because it's the constant building. But she's right. The pub will be there. Whether it's the stories that she had, or even as the setting of a coroner's inquest, or which we mentioned in so it is there, and it's part of their lives all the time.
Definitely, and place some other people would have gone to tell stories themselves as well.
Oh yes,
like what would they have been talking about? So fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I normally ask people about their favourite places, but I've certainly already asked Elsa and I've already asked Ruth. So maybe if I just skip after you've had a chance to talk lots, and skip to you first, Beverly. Do you have any favourite places?
Sorry?
Do you have any favourite places, either to research or to visit? Or are you tour?
Not really. Because my focus is mainly in India, that's where my parents were from. And I know when I first visited there, it wasn't so much the city or the name of the place, it was the feeling of the country.
Okay,
it was sort of country I'd never been to before in my life. And I think that was a really strong sense of place, although it wasn't a particular place. So see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
It was quite overwhelming, actually, because I'd never been to that sort of country before. So it made me really understand my parents a lot more, and my grandparents.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And Valme?
Like Beverly, my focus has mainly been India over the years, but just before the pandemic, I moved to a village in Suffolk called Weatherden, and I've joined the local history group, and I've become more interested in the history of Weatherden, and I'm thinking about doing a one-place study. At the moment, I'm doing it on Wikitree because I haven't got a lot of time to devote to it, but it's been interesting finding out more about the village and more about the cottage that I live in and everything. I think when you study a place, if it's to do with your family, you understand your family a little bit more and learn about the people that were with them, and it's easy to get interested in a particular place when it's to do with your family. But this isn't actually to do with my family, but I have found also through Wikitree that I do have a family connection to Weatherden, which I didn't know about before I moved here. So back in the 1500s. So yeah.
That's exciting. There's a really good local history group in my village in Melbourne Port in Somerset, and I have deliberately tried not to get drawn in because I know this is going to be another thing that I don't quite have time for. So I've almost deliberately tried to, dip in and out, but without letting myself get too carried away. So,
that's not easy though, is it?
It's not, really not, and they do a really good job as well, making it really interesting and sharing lots of interesting stories. So it's really hard. Mark, how about you? Have you got a favourite place?
Oh, I've got quite a number of favourite places. I guess being a map person, I'm just down the road from you. Actually, just realised Melbourne Port. I live in Motcombe myself, and that's my default test whenever we're trying out new records is looking at Motcombe on the maps, which is not very well represented. Being quite a small village, we had about a blacksmith, a church, and 2 pubs, so and a lot of farmland back then. But in terms of family for a favourite place, I think Wales. We, as a family, all enjoy. My wife's family are all from Wales, so we visit there multiple times every year, and the kids love it. It's like going to Tenby for holidays or Cardigan. So South Wales is our sort of favourite area. But then family history. My Bailey families are all from Lydd in Kent, so sort of Elsa's direction.
Absolutely, definitely my patch.
So I've never visited Lydd though, so I feel a bit ashamed to say that. So I think I'll have to plan in going the opposite direction to Wales one day and heading off to Kent to trace down our relatives.
I think places are almost like, they play that game of 6 degrees of separation with ancestors.
Yes.
You meet a family historian, it's almost like, how can we see how we're related, or where we cross over? And I think places even more so, isn't it? There's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Dave, how about you? Have you got a favourite place to end our chat on?
Yeah, I mean, going back to that wonderful introductory talk on the first day by Mia Bennett about choosing a one-place study, I really wish I'd seen that about a year and a half ago. I know everyone's thinking that, but she made such brilliant points about what factors to look at and what, how to go about choosing. I have registered now with the Society of One Place Studies, the village or the parish of Longner in Staffordshire, which is where a lot of my wife's ancestors came from, up in the Staffordshire moorlands. Absolutely beautiful. I was up there just a couple of weeks ago. It's a really, really nice place. Obviously, the challenge is that it's 200 miles away from me, so that's a little bit difficult. And even the record office in Lichfield is a good trek away. So, at the other end of the scale, then I'm very interested in this. I live in Hertfordshire, and I'm just along the road from the village of Aldenham, which is a beautiful little village that is hardly changed over the centuries. Still a very small place, although Radlett is also in Aldenham, and that's now a huge settlement. So I'm very interested in that, and it's nice that it's local. I can just pop along to the churchyard and have a look around, and there's some great stories there. And then the other place I'm very interested in is where my own family came from, South Ronaldsay in Orkney, which is just one of the most beautiful places on earth. I was up there this summer. Absolutely lovely, wonderful place, and a very nice, manageable size for one name study, although a lot of work has already been done on it. So I think I've chosen the right place in Longner, but we'll see how. I'll just show you this is my progress. This is the work I've done so far on Longner.
Okay.
That's what's produced over the last year. It's looking good, isn't it?
Well, Dave, if you wanted to research Hertfordshire a bit more, we've literally just released the Lloyd George Doomsday records for Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire.
Oh, excellent.
So,
All right, that's good. I shall have a look
that's
into
a busy
those.
weekend for you.
Yeah. So I had nothing to do, so that's great. Yeah.
I don't really know how I can follow up from that to wrap up. If you want your one place study to be bigger than Dave,
Yeah.
you'll watch the rest of All About That Place and do the workbook. On that note, have a lovely Friday evening and weekend. Enjoy the rest of All About That Place. And if you're watching, don't forget to tune back in on Monday as well. We will have a brief announcement on Monday to give you as well about asking for some feedback and another surprise prize draw for you coming through as well. So don't disappear out of the Facebook group either. Some of the talks will be sticking around at least until Monday the 9th. So you haven't heard the last of us yet. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.